What's up guys, Honcho here with another squad video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Combat Engineer role. The Combat Engineer can be found in the Specialist class, and is limited to a maximum of 2 players per team. For militia or insurgents, they're known as Sapper, and I will get into them at the end of this video. All Combat Engineer classes are generally the same. They all come with a standard issue rifle for their faction with either iron sights or a hollow, with the exception of Britain, Canada and Australia, as they will get a ranged optic. They all get 1 anti-tank landmine and 1 timed explosive charge. Apart from Australia, for some reason one Combat Engineer gets 2 landmines and no C4, and the other one gets 1 C4 and no landmines. I've no idea why this is. Perhaps it's true to life, or maybe they just wanted to be different. If you know why, feel free to tell me in the comments, but we will get back onto the topic of landmines and C4 later on in this video. Like all the other squads, you also get a shovel, but yours works twice as fast as everybody else's. Now I'm guessing all Combat Engineers are either jacked up on coffee and monsters, or maybe they have some special powder in their top pocket. Basically, if you need to build up or take something down, you can do it twice as fast as a single infantryman. On top of this, you also get a vehicle repair kit. Yes, this means you can help friendly vehicles that are damaged nearby. Armor crews will love you forever if you help repair them, as it removes the risk of their crew getting out and getting shot, especially as we've had an influx of Tarkov players hiding in bushes recently. Oh, and you can also repair that abandoned lodgy that you just ran past as well. If you keep scrolling, you'll also find that you can deploy 1 sandbag wall and 1 barbed wire fence. Quite handy for providing a small amount of cover in a tight spot, or if you keep rearming, I suppose you could one-man super fob an area. You do get the basics that every other class gets as well, including your combat knife, bandages, smokes, but there's no point getting into them because, as I mentioned, everybody gets those. So, let's get back into the anti-tank mines. These are extremely straightforward to use. You simply find somewhere you want to place it, set it on the ground, pull your shovel out, and dig it in to conceal it. The thing with mines is all about where you place it. It's finding that high traffic area where you can catch a lodgy or a tank passing through, but also has to be somewhere that isn't main campy. I'm sorry, but placing mines 200 meters from the enemy main, it's a dick move, and most servers will kick you for this. Another important factor to consider is routes that your friendlies will be using. I guarantee that most inexperienced combat engineers will have more team kills with mines than enemy kills. And this is down to putting mines on main routes that your team will be using or on control points that you already control. So when looking for places to put your mines, really have a think about it. Because whilst yes, your mine may show up on the map, but I can guarantee there'll be that one lodgy driver that isn't using the map. They will drive over it full of infantry, and you will be automatically kicked for TKs. So, let's not be that guy. You can place a maximum of 5 mines by rearming yourself, and they will stay planted even if you respawn. If you change kit, however, they will disappear. It's also worth noting that if you see an enemy mine, you might want to go and dig that down. A final trick with mines is quite a fun one. If you found someone that's stationary in an enemy vehicle and you have crept up onto them, if you take out your mine and crawl under the back of the vehicle, it will detonate in about 1 to 2 seconds after being placed. Yes, this is a one-way trip, but it's a perfect way to damage or take out an enemy vehicle, especially if it's something like a Tiger or a Spandrel. You can take this further as well by placing your timed explosive on the vehicle. It's quite devious actually, because once you place your timed charge, you then crawl under the vehicle to place the mine. The mine goes off, highly damaging the vehicle. 9 out of 10 times the crew from the vehicle will jump out to repair, and that's when your C4 detonates, taking out the vehicle and the crew. Naturally, this isn't the main intended use for the timed explosives, but if something is stupid and it works, it isn't stupid. Anyway, I suppose you'll better get onto the timed explosives now. Realistically, the best thing you can use your timed charge on is an enemy radio or HAB. When dealing with an enemy radio, naturally, you can just dig it down with your super shovel, cover it off till it bleeds out, and move on. This is the best tactic if you found a radio in an uncontested place or on a fob that's a few cap points back and essentially isn't being used. Keep in mind here that every time a team loses a radio, that costs 20 tickets, so it is 100% worth you destroying it. However, If you have stumbled across an active fob or a radio in a busy area, chances are as soon as you start shoveling it, people are going to beeline to your location. So in this situation, you will place your timed explosives onto the radio or hab and then immediately start digging it down with your shovel. Once you've gotten the radio down one stage, as shown by a change in appearance, you can go find somewhere to hide, because once the explosive charge goes off, it will put the radio into its bleed out stage. For the record, a timed charge only does approximately 75% damage to the radio on full health, and if you dig a radio down a single stage, that will disable it, therefore disabling the hab. Now the other reason you place the C4 first is in case you get found and taken out, because the enemy blueberries will immediately start repairing the radio. Everyone thinks everything is safe, and then your C4 detonates, wiping out everyone on the radio and putting it into a disabled state again. A very important thing to keep in mind when going to use the Combat Engineer kit is if you're playing a game of destruction and you're on the attacking side, you are the VIP. Aside from the commander, you are the only person who can destroy the weapons cat, and that is by placing your timed charge on it. To learn more about the various game modes within Squad, click the pop-up on screen now, or alternatively click the link in the description down below. Now for those who take the Sapper kit for militia or insurgents, everything I mentioned earlier in this video is still relevant, but in addition to everything this kit has, you also get an improvised explosive device, or IED for short. I'm sure you are all very familiar of the infamous Nokia ringtone of death. Well, this is where it derives from. IEDs can do an incredible amount of damage with a huge explosive radius. These can be attached to literally anything from bikes, trucks, the commander's drone, and people. Yes, you heard that right. You can put IEDs on other players. You can place a maximum of 5 IEDs on any one thing or area. A lot of experienced players will set up a series of IEDs to booby trap their fob during invasion games as a last-ditch effort to take tickets away from the enemy. But loading a bike, truck, or drone with 3, 4, or 5 IEDs is a fantastic way to wipe out enemy tanks, IFVs, or even a fob. Now, IEDs don't go off themselves like the timed explosives do. Instead, you have a cell phone. Basically, when you want your IEDs to go off, you pull out your phone, left click to ring, wait for it to dial out, and there you go. Oh, and you also get some decoy rocks you can place. Basically, they're designed to hide the mines that you place. But I generally found that the rocks give away the placement of your mines as they don't blend in very well. But I suppose if you used all of the rocks that you get given with one mine, it's essentially like a free game of Russian roulette for the enemy team. Naturally, there are some limitations to the Combat Engineer and Sapper role. Most kits only run iron sights, and you have very limited ammunition, as you only have about 4 magazines. But you're not there to primarily engage in infantry combat. You're there to be a If you're a bit of a Schadenfreude, then this is the role for you, because you can do all kinds of trolley stuff to the enemy whilst remaining extremely combat effective. And thus concludes the video. I hope you now have a better idea of how to use a Combat Engineer kit and can have some fun with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.